walk us through that, because I don't think anybody ever thought that Donald Trump would make it to president. It just didn't seem like, because he wasn't a quote-unquote politician.
Yeah. Well, he was friends with everybody. I mean, I think if you look back at Donald Trump's history, you know, he last night we were at the Al Smith dinner, and he was right there next to Chuck Schumer, and he said to Chuck Schumer, who's obviously a Democrat senator, he said, I gave Chuck his first check ever when he was running for like assemblyman or something. So, yeah,
That's why Chuck was laughing so hard. Remember we asked why Chuck was laughing so hard?
Yeah, I don't be liking the optics of that. Only reason I say I don't like the optics of that is because when you hear people like Chuck Schumer say things like Trump is a threat to democracy, but then you're sitting next to him yucking it up. Why would you be yucking it up with somebody who you consider a threat to democracy?
Well, you have to ask yourself that question, don't you? Maybe it's all scare tactics. Maybe it's a lot of fear mongering. Charlemagne. What I can tell you is I know Donald Trump. I have known him for 16 years, and Chuck Schumer's known him a lot longer than I have, and I think he knows full well he's not a threat to democracy, and you don't even have to take my word for it. Look at what he did when he was in the White House. Like, there was never any threat to democracy when he was in the White House.
Oh, there was an attempted coup of the country.
Well, that you can argue that a lot of different ways. Peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard is not an attempted coup. What was a coup was when they replaced Joe Biden with Kamala Harris, who was not elected by anyone to run for president. There are 14 million people who voted for.
All right, let me stop it right there. A couple things. Charlamagne just said, what did he just say? How you go? I don't like the optics of that. Okay? First of all, how is it that you are in this position not liking the optics of something? Right? Like, you are a hip-hop radio DJ, and you don't like the optics? Sounds like you have been a part of the Kamala Harris campaign think tank and, you know, media strategy team. You don't like the optics of that? It sounds very weird and disjointed and misaligned for that to come out of his mouth in this context. Also, for him and the Breakfast Club now to be the premier stop for political campaigns, right? That is suggesting to me everything that I did not want to know about what Charlamagne is lying to us and himself about. And that is the fact that he's supposedly an independent and that he's an unaffiliated person, right? But what I want to proffer here and suggest respectfully, and it is speculation, right? But this is my suspicion because I've been paying attention to Charlamagne and have watched his sudden evolution right around the Me Too movement. And my opinion and suspicion is this: the reason that this guy carries the water for the Democrat Party, even though he claims he's unaffiliated, to the point that he doesn't like the optics of something around Donald Trump right now, is because the Democrats has Charlamagne's number. And if he ever fixes his mouth to sound too Republican or too conservative,
I can hear you.
Oh, so who's the real president of this country? Is it Joe Manchin or Joe Biden, Madam Vice President?
Come on, Charlamagne. It's Joe Biden.
I can't tell sometimes.
No. It's Joe Biden, and don't start talking like a Republican about asking whether or not he's president.
Do you think Joe Manchin is a problem?
It's Joe Biden, and I'm vice president, and my name is Kamala Harris.
Because in my heart, I believe Charlamagne really is conservative, and he really wants to follow his natural instincts here. But he's having to carry water and stay in this sandbox and play in this sandbox because his livelihood and his freedom is attached to it. Because if you don't know, Charlamagne has a sexual essay charge that's lingering out there, that he escaped by the hair of his chinny chin chin. There's a media blackout on this story.
Charlamagne called me one day and told me he was having a party, a beach party, and invited me to the beach party. Initially I said no, but then he said the party was actually for him. It was his birthday. And he said, you know, you're like my sister, you have to be there. Right now we are at the Short Stay Villa in Mox Corner. This is where everything took place on June 2001. As you can see, in order to access the villa, you need a military pass. Someone by the name of Derek Major got the villa for Charlamagne that night. I know Charlamagne repeatedly said that this party was for a cousin of his named Kenta Palmer, but I was told from Charlamagne himself that this party was for him. It was his birthday. That's the only reason I came. The first thing I noticed is there were just a whole bunch of guys there. I think there were 2 other females, but they were in the back outside, and I could see them through the sliding door, but it was majority guys. Villa number 30, this is where the party was. Me and Malika walked into the party with Charlamagne, his friends and cousins. Whew.
Because of Charlemagne's alignment with the political elites and him being a useful idiot to them in interviews like this, where he gets to pin the tail on the conservative and get to posture himself like he's a political analyst and he really knows things about policy and economics and things like that, when he's only read the liberal propaganda about these subjects, so that he can regurgitate them again in an attempt to pin the tail on the conservative. But Charlamagne, prior to this, prior to 2018, was a foul-mouthed, vulgar, misogynistic, toxic masculinity person. There's so much video of him out here, of him admitting him doing very foul things to women, by the way.
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I got this girl real drunk, and
that sentence sounds a little fishy. I got her drunk.
I didn't just get her drunk. I remember I went to the sex store and got Spanish Fly.
Oh, so you raped her?
Shut up. Spanish Fly. They sell it in the sex store. I'm telling the truth. They sell it in the Spanish store. I had to fucking
They sell knives in the store too. You could put that to a girl's throat and have sex with it. That doesn't mean it's illegal.
So I put the Spanish Fly in the E&J. We drinking the E&J and shit. So in my mind, I don't know if this shit really worked, but I felt like I got horny as a motherfucker too. Right? So she was drunk as shit, and we had sex and shit, and like a lot of my boys was trying to come in the room and fuck her. I'm like, nah, chill out. I can't. We're not doing that. I'm not gonna let you in the tree. That's rape.
Yeah.
Okay. So, right. So
it's just one-on-one. It ain't rape.
Yeah. So the next
dreams are rape.
So the next morning she wakes up. And we talk about it. And she's like, what happened? I'm like, we had sex. She said, okay, well, I'm glad it was you. Then a couple days later, she's like, yo, are you sure I only had sex with you? Because one of my stupid ass cousins was going around saying he fucked her, which he didn't. I know for a fact he didn't. Okay. I was there the whole time. Yeah. He did not fuck her. Yeah. He looked at her naked, but he didn't fuck her, right? So I'm telling her, no, me and you just had sex, nobody else did nothing. So it just was weird that she was like, well, I'm just glad it was you. You know what I'm saying? Because in my mind, I'm like, yo, you could have been in a real bad situation if it was another motherfucker there.
That's a huge compliment, man. A girl just said, yo, at least you raped me.
I didn't rape her. I did not rape her.
Hey, if it was any of your cousins or friends who have been raped,
I didn't rape her because me and her had every intention of having sex with each other.
So then why would you put the Spanish Fly?
I'm still a freaky motherfucker, but listen,
was she passed out while you fucked her?
Nah, she wasn't like, she was like one of those drunks where, she was one of those drunks where like, she was one of those drunks where she was like, she wasn't coherent, but she was up. You know when your girls is, like when you're blacked out, like that, don't know what the fuck's going on type shit. Like she was really
But when the Me Too movement came and R. Kelly got R. Kelly'd, he was scared straight. And then he became all zen. He had a little come to Buddha meeting, and he's become all zen. and he's changed, and he's all into mental health, and he was dealing with anxiety and all of these things. And the reason, low key, he was dealing with anxiety because that Jessica Reid story was on his tail, and he was very close to being Me Too. But he changed his stripes very quickly, and he joined the feminists, and he began to echo their narrative. And he's been an even more devoted Democrat pundit, even though he claims that he's unaffiliated and that he's independent when he's not. He's clearly not. But that's what we're dealing with here. That's the gag. That's what's low-key happening with Charlemagne, and why he is reasoning against his own self-interest, why he is voting against his own self-interest. He's reasoning, against his own better judgment, and he's voting against his own self-interest as a black man. He wants so bad to be in solidarity with the black men who are walking away from the Democratic Party, the true masculine black men, right? He really wants to be a part of that. And that's why he had to kind of low-key, come out and say a little something about Barack Obama, because he really, Barack Obama's chastisement of black men for not voting for Kamala, he had to come out and say something to that so that he can remain credible with those real black men, because that's what he really wants to be. But the Democrat Party has forced him to be feminized and beta in order to keep his livelihood and his freedom. Because he knows that the moment that he looks like, well, I'm going to say it this way. It's just like the devil. He don't mind you going to church. He don't mind you reading the Bible. But when you get shown up serious and give your life to Christ and become committed, and your conversation and all of that change, and you get in full alignment with that thing, oh, he's coming for you. That's what's going to happen to Charlemagne and the Democrats. They don't mind him talking about I'm unaffiliated. They don't mind him having conservative zone to give the appearance that he's truly fair and balanced and open to having open conversations with people. They don't mind that, as long as he does what he's doing now. Throw the jabs in, give their talking points, pin the tail on the conservative, right? They don't mind that. But if you ever come out and do an Elon Musk, oh, they're going to R. Kelly P. Diddy you, bro. They're going to Me Too Charlemagne. And he knows that. And that's the source of his anxiety. And right now, and the other source of his anxiety is this cognitive dissonance that he's in. He's living in a complete cognitive dissonance. And he tries very hard to appear intellectually honest and to appear at peace with himself, but he clearly is not. He is not. He's not giving peace with himself, because this very question here is like, I don't like the optics of Chuck Schumer. Shucking it up with him, saying, how can he say he's a threat to democracy on one hand, and then he's going to go and hee and kiki with him? How about because Chuck Schumer really knows that Donald Trump is not a threat to democracy, that he knows that Donald Trump only became a threat to democracy when he became a politician and threatened to upend the money laundering operation of the Democrats and certain Republicans of the uniparty. How about that? Because at the upper echelons, they're the same baby sipping out of the same sippy cup. That's what's the problem, Charlemagne. And you can't be this dumb. Because if you are really this dumb, then and if you can't put this together, and see, that's the other thing, that's why I don't believe you're this dumb. Because in any other context, you will be able to smoke this out. You will be able to put this puzzle together. Any other context, you will be able to smell this fraud and this deception. That's if you're a street code, if you're a street guy and you understand the streets as you purport to, and you was a drug dealer in Moncks Corner, South Carolina, why can't you see the finesse of the Democrat Party on the black voter and on the public, for that matter? Because this whole Donald Trump is a racist is part of the Saul Alinsky playbook. The rules for radicals. Accuse your enemy of what you're doing while you're doing it. So you're either extremely naive, or they're paying you very well to play this dumb and to play this role.